Yep, we're ready.
I am.
So we'll be addressing to the board and we are the consultants. Good morning. It's nice to meet you again. My name is Gautam and I'm here with Jenny and Ranu from iQuad Consulting. Thank you for inviting us back. The concept of metaverse has been welcomed with a lot of fascination among users. Though both the concept and the business prospects are exciting, some unsafe incidents have already taken place in the metaverse, and this creates a possibility of future issues.
Amidst this looming uncertainty, the question is, how will Facebook ensure its parallel meta world is safe and ethical for users? There are four major ethical concerns pertaining to the metaverse: unethical data usage, consumer unawareness, consumer privacy, and conduct monitoring. Compared to Facebook's traditional social media platform, we understand that the metaverse platform can track individuals in a much more intimate manner. The consumers are really concerned. They fear their psychological and behavioral data being captured and used unethically. Data harvesting may be legal, but whether it is ethical or not depends on how transparent you are with your users about the harvesting process. That is exactly how Facebook fell short. Currently, users are not aware of what is happening with their data and how their data is being used. Immersive virtual experiences on Facebook would capture huge sets of data points from users. Metaverse will monitor physiological responses and biometric data in real time, which includes facial expressions, vocal inflections, blood pressure, heart rate, eye movements, and many more. Meta's Oculus headset, which is used for the immersive experience, includes 4 external cameras, which will also be capturing images of your user's room and mapping user movements. When questioned about the data capture, the Oculus spokesperson said, "We don't collect and store images or 3D maps of your environment on our servers today." The use of the word today makes it clear that the company is not ruling out anything in the future. Facebook's privacy strategy seems to commit to as little as possible in order to not limit what may be done in the future, and to be as broad as possible to maximize legal wiggle room. So how do we define crime in the metaverse? As per an Australian philosopher, as the virtual bodies grow richer, which they are in the metaverse, crime against our virtual bodies is as serious as crime against our physical bodies. For instance, Nina Jain Patel, a resident of Britain, was testing out Facebook's metaverse platform in January this year. She recounts in a blog post, and I quote, "Within 60 seconds of joining, I was verbally and sexually harassed by 3 to 4 male avatars with male voices." Nina was left traumatized. Though not physically hurt, she was mentally traumatized, and since then has been suffering from anxiety. This example is just one representation of a much larger problem with respect to conduct, from cyberbullying to stalking, harassment, child abuse, and many more. In response to the harassment incident, Facebook stated that they are working on improving the platform. But in the course of this change, the users and testers are significantly impacted psychologically. Consumers and users are concerned and fearful about Facebook's data usage policies. If these issues are left unchecked, they could cause a snowball effect for users, starting from data being compromised, data sold non-consensually, profile hacking, identity theft, privacy breach, and mental trauma for users, which sometimes escalates to physical harm.
The ethical dilemma the company faces has significant financial and legal impact if left unresolved. Any unethical action has a huge legal impact. In Horizon World, rise in unethical incidents will eventually get noticed by policymakers that could lead to new laws and regulations being imposed, which could further result in disruption of business operations. Further, Facebook's row of unethical issues could lead to potential legal claims, which in turn will levy huge financial penalties and eventually could impact companies' brand reputation. The negative impacts on the brand would lead to significant drop in user adoption. Facebook has always been able to perform better than many other social media platforms because of continuous user adoption and overall usage. But now the scenario is changing due to lack of trust and unethical incidents. Any unethical action has huge financial impact. Let us consider the data breach in Cambridge Data Analytica saga, where data of users were taken without their permission and sold to another organization. After the incident, at least 3 million users have abandoned the platform in Europe. As a result, Facebook's share plunged 19% and at least $119 billion were wiped off Facebook's market value in a single day. Similarly, in metaverse, the impact would be amplified considering the magnitude of data collected and harvested. We do not see the ethical challenges disappearing unless you take direct action. The legal and financial repercussions of ethical issues are a direct result of the current culture and value system of Facebook and should be addressed.
We strongly recommend building a supportive framework for smooth transition into metaverse for both Facebook and its users. Our three-pronged recommendation is to build a responsible platform, ensure customer safety, and present metaverse as a trustworthy industry. Our first recommendation is to create a responsible platform by realigning the current values. For example, a shift from being fast and innovative to responsibly innovate. Further, you could bring a policy change to promote employee empowerment and communicate it via town hall, internal campaigns, and team lunches. Annual third-party policy review will ensure required amendments in the policies and the employees' performance matrices should be based on the new parameters, which will ensure values are infused in the work practices. We recommend you to provide additional hours of innovation to the employees. This will encourage developers to create ethical products which will create safe and trustworthy user experience. Our second recommendation is to ensure customer safety by creating awareness and providing safeguarding tools. In that, we first aim to dilute the negativity around metaverse and then pitch the benefits and cautious uses. Awareness category would be directed to tech-savvy and non-tech-savvy users. The idea is to create awareness and safe uses of metaverse. To do this, you could invite the tech-savvy users to develop metaverse products, and this will be promoted via digital advertisements. And for the non-tech-savvy users, you could create educational aids and establish experience centers in the urban areas. We also recommend building safeguarding tools, which includes easy to understand user agreement language, live data status report of data collection and uses, and half-yearly pop-ups on reviewing data permissions. These tools would ensure data transparency and overall increased reliability. Finally, in our third recommendation, we suggest you lead industry level collaboration. We know you are the biggest social media player, not only in the US but across the globe. You will be identified as pioneer to promote ethical practices in making the metaverse space safe for the users. To this end, we suggest you lead the formation of a consortium with players across the industry. You could initiate conversation about ethical metaverse platform development and proactively assist legal authorities on regulations. This initiative will promote user safety, interoperability, and shared innovation in the metaverse platform. Further, we suggest you enhance AI ethics team operations to improve internal ethical communication as well as increase transparency in user communication. With such measures taken, like Nina, users like Nina will soon be able to look at the metaverse platform differently. This would enable her to feel safe and to be involved in this revolutionary technology without worrying about any adverse consequences. The collaboration with fellow metaverse companies will let every user, whether on Facebook or on any other platform, to benefit from the ethical measures set in place for metaverse.
The success of the initiative could be measured by the increased user adoption rate, reduced legal cost, and increased brand equity. Overall, we predict the share price to rise by 8% and revenue by 23% per year. All the impacts together will result in increased stakeholder value. Despite the absence of law, Facebook should take steps to go beyond the legal requirements and incorporate ethics into every part of business. In conclusion, Facebook's innovation-centric culture is compromising your business practices, which causes an ethical dilemma. We recommend that Facebook to build a supportive framework for smooth transition into metaverse for both your employees and your users. To reiterate, our recommendation is built upon three pillars: responsible platform development, safe user enablement, and trustworthy industry leadership. We believe the insights and recommendations shared by us will encourage Facebook to be more ethical and mindful with your choices, keeping your metaverse consumer focused. Thank you for your time.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give me a moment.
I think we're all set.
Okay, very good. Sabrina, we ready to go?
Absolutely, whenever you are.
Okay, very good. Concordia team, why don't you go ahead and start when you're ready?
Thank you. Good morning. Marco and I are here from Finish Line Consulting, and we are here to discuss the ethical issues of digital employee monitoring to you, the board members of the 3 largest employers in the United States, Walmart, FedEx, and Amazon. I'm going to start off with the analysis, and I'll focus predominantly on ethical concerns, and I'll touch on the financial and legal concerns, and then Marco will walk you through our implementation plan. Now, collectively, over the next 5 years, the 3 of you will employ 1 in 30 of the American population, which means that you wield a lot of power and you touch a lot of American lives. Rate of employees being digitally monitored at work have increased from 20% to 80% since the onset of the pandemic, which brings into focus just how important this topic is. Now, monitoring employees is nothing new, but it has become increasingly pervasive as technology has become increasingly powerful. We're at a point now in our society where we've normalized Big Brother, secretly watching desk employees through their webcams, timing warehouse employees' bathroom breaks, and allowing AIs to fire drivers when they don't reach their targets. Ultimately, privacy in the context of employee monitoring is a massive risk moving forward. What we're recommending to you is a 2-pronged plan to address employee privacy and help reestablish some of the trust which has been lost between you and your employees. First prong, structured ethics, is to build a structure within your companies with specialized teams to ensure ethical decisions are taken away from computers. It'll also ensure a team is in place to govern data privacy and security, and a team will be in place to ensure legal compliance. Now, the second prong, management retraining, is to create a shift in the management teams across the board in how they evaluate performance. Management teams will be retrained to evaluate task monitoring over behavior monitoring and encouraging team-based objectives. This 2-pronged plan will bring the humanity back into your practices. So let's take a step back and touch on a critical part of this issue, dignity. You violate your employees' dignity by taking away their privacy at work. Privacy is a fundamental human right, which is essential to autonomy and dignity, and it serves as a foundation for many other rights. Privacy is protected in more than 130 countries and many legal conventions. Your digital monitoring practices are a very real threat to your employees' privacy. So how did we get here? On the legal side, unlike our allies, the US actually has a lagging legal framework when it comes to regulating digital employee monitoring. And in fact, federal legislation regarding employee monitoring has not been updated since 1986. Think about how much technology has evolved since then. You as employers are using digital monitoring tools which hadn't even been dreamed of yet in 1986. Now, if we look on a state-by-state level, only 2 states, soon to be 3, require employers to inform their employees of monitoring. Now, on the financial side, you are experiencing pushback from employees, which is manifesting itself in the short term in the form of extremely high employee turnover, sometimes 100%. And in the long term, in the form of significant reputational costs. Now, furthermore, the productivity rates you push result in very high injury rates in the warehouses and high driver accident turnover rates. Now, let's take a look at the impact on your workforce. We'll look at the 3 types of employees I mentioned earlier. For your desk employees, when you secretly watch them through their webcams and you see their personal life as a backdrop, you degrade them. For your warehouse employees, when you track their bodily functions and use these to make decisions about their employability, you humiliate them. And for your drivers, when you isolate them from human interactions by using biometrics and AI to make decisions about their jobs, you're dehumanizing them. All of these digital monitoring techniques which you routinely use are stripping your employees of their dignity. Dignity is the state or quality of being worthy of honor or respect. How will you feel dignified when your boss is using the number of bathroom breaks you take to evaluate your work performance? You won't. Now, we recognize that obviously growth is important. Obviously productivity is important, but human dignity is also important. Our plan is going to show you how to balance your corporate growth with treating your employees with dignity. So now I'm going to pass it off to Marco, who will explain to you our implementation plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Beth. So Kevin, let me just take a second to talk about how we got here. We've seen that technology has boomed in the last 5 or 10 years. Digital monitoring tools have grown. So we're able to watch people in a whole lot of different ways. And our operations teams are understandably excited. Their job is to drive productivity, and that's what they want to do. But what this has opened us up to is legal issues, financial impacts that we hadn't predicted, and most importantly, the violation of our employees' dignity. So our solution, it contains 2 prongs to manage this. Now, our solution needs to help your companies maintain their value, right? You still have all your financial performance objectives. You still have your value stream and your specific offers to your clients, and that's important. But we've talked about how laws are changing, how ensuring compliance is important, but most of all, making sure that we can't make unethical decisions moving forward, structuring our company to follow our vision. So the 2 prongs of our plan are, firstly, structured ethics. So an organizational structure that ensures we make ethical decisions regarding monitoring. And secondly, management retraining. So providing our managers with the next tools that they can use to drive productivity without invasive monitoring. So digging into structured ethics, it's a really important distinction. And that is, we've seen tools grow and we've seen our operations teams take them, use them to drive productivity. And we're starting to notice that they've crossed the line. They've clearly crossed the line into monitoring too much of employees' lives, of their personal lives, of their private lives, and they're having adverse effects. But if we leave the decision of what to do and what to use with operations, there'll always be a conflict of interest, because operations first is incentivized to hit performance targets, which means that the decision of what type of monitoring methods to use, and also what to do with the data and metadata, how to store it, how long it should last, how do we ensure compliance, shouldn't be under our operations team. They should be taken out and into another department so that structurally there is someone independent who's not judged on productivity that can make this decision. So the structured ethics plan is really ensuring ethical behavior inside of our company by removing the conflict of interest from our operations team, and also building a structure that allows us to ensure our legal compliance with whatever changes to the legal system we feel on the horizon. Now, the second prong is management retraining. And here, as we're talking about, our operations teams have driven productivity. We've been productive over the last 5 years. And we're telling them, well, now these tools that you've put in place are unethical. We need to provide our teams with what they can do next. So we wanted to have solutions for each of the 3 types of employees that Beth talked about, right? So our office workers, our shop floor workers, and our drivers are our customer-facing workers. So for our office workers, the main shift is shifting away from behavior monitoring, which is what we're doing with invasive cameras, and moving more towards task monitoring. Now, this is really important in an area where office workers, I mean, we're going through a great resignation. We're seeing people leave their jobs at a higher than ever rate. Turnover is skyrocketing, and skilled workers are in demand on the market. So shifting the paradigm away from monitoring the way you interact with your screen to how you're able to deliver value for the company is a very important management shift. Now, our next type of worker is that shop floor worker. And shop floor workers are feeling increasingly isolated, working by themselves against a computer, constantly judged on where they take breaks, where they're efficient and not. And here we want to integrate more team-based objectives for managers. So managing smaller groups, being able to develop a bit more team trust. With team trust, you get shared training between employees who are no longer competing against each other, against the computer, but together towards objectives. We hope this will lead to less turnover, but ultimately less of a need for monitoring. And finally, for our outward-facing roles like drivers, we're prioritizing productivity, and we understand, but in this social shift today where everything is connected on the internet and social movements are starting, we feel that prioritizing productivity isn't as important as prioritizing customer service and safety. So shifting the incentive structure lets us do that. So just to recap our prongs, we want a structure, and I guess I can wrap up, just to ensure that we have employee dignity throughout our operations, and also have the ethical management techniques that will replace what we're doing with monitoring. What this does is it lets us build trust between us, our customers, and our employees. And trust will breed dignity, and that will breed performance. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Marco. Thanks, Beth. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill out feedback forms. Any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Thanks everybody for participating this morning. It was very good. I definitely learned some things, and well done. I'll send feedback into the team, and good luck throughout the rest of the competition. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you. Have a
you.
good day.
You too.